What does a P.S.W. do?
P.S.W. takes care of people.
They do a lot of emotional stuff that is not in their job description.
We went through that with my father-in-law, unfortunately passed a year and a half ago.
It could range from the elderly to people with disabilities, even somebody who's just hurt.
His support workers, in this case, dealt heavily on the nursing industry to help keep him comfortable during his time at home.
And I think they're a huge part of our society.
When death occurs, the most immediate effects are felt by the family. But what about the caregivers, the people that are there day in and day out experiencing death over and over and again? Today, we'll hear a professional perspective on that. Well, Michelle, thanks so much for being part of the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us what your role is? What is your job?
I'm a personal support worker. I've been one for the last 18 years. For the last 4 years, I've been specializing in palliative care, taking care of people who are at end of life. They've chosen to either no longer receive treatment or there are no more treatment options.
Okay.
And they choose to pass away at home, so I go home and take care of them.
Wow. Wow. I'm sure you find your friend groups, your family groups would say, maybe even be confused, like, why would you do that? Why would you intentionally always be around people that are dying?
I find great enjoyment out of it. Being the person that's there at the end to help make their journey as peaceful, pain-free, and as smooth as possible. I think that's very rewarding, especially to be able to share those intimate moments with them. We have somebody who's there at the beginning of our life to help us get our first breath in.
Yeah.
We deserve the same compassion taking our last breath.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you probably have a sense, because I get a sense that you're making a difference.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I as an undertaker, I deal with death all the time, mm-hmm. and I know most people don't. Most people are going to experience death once, twice, maybe a few times in their whole lifetime, and each time it's tough. It's tough. So for you and I, you specifically, you deal with death over and over again. Different
daily.
People, daily. Yeah. How does that affect you as a person?
It's given me a different outlook on life. I definitely don't take the little things for granted. Nothing's promised. I make sure that I spend time with those that I care about the most. I take time for me.
I can't honestly say I put it into those words before as well as you have, but I can relate to that when you're facing the reality of death all the time, sweating the small stuff, holding grudges, all those kind of things, it seems more frivolous, I guess, when we know life comes to an end. You probably dealt with tragic situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you share something that you feel comfortable sharing it was hard for you, even like it was I don't know, like tragic.
Well, work related. I had a patient. He had been suffering with brain cancer since he was 10 years old.
Oh.
He was 42.
Wow.
He was repeatedly looking at the doctor and myself saying, I want to die. Please let me die. I don't want to be like this. He wasn't able to walk anymore. He couldn't eat anymore. His mom didn't want him to go.
Okay.
She was seeing changes. She was preventing us from being able to give him the medication he required to stay comfortable.
Wow.
And her excuse was, he's had headaches since he was 10 years old. He doesn't need pain medication for a headache.
Right.
She wanted him to stay alive until his next MRI so that she knew it was the tumors causing the change, right, and not the medications that we were giving him. Because she felt it was us that were causing the changes in him.
Right.
Unfortunately, he did pass away before that happened because Dad finally stepped in and said, look, this is your son. This is what he wants. When he did pass away, it wasn't pretty. I was behind him. He was sitting up in bed. The death rattle that everybody hears. That was, I hear it all the time, but that patient was the worst one.
Right.
Just the sound of it, because Mom wasn't accepting of it. And when I think of situations, I have good experiences, but that was like the most horrible experience. I'm like, I don't want anybody ever have to go through that.
Right.
Mom looked at us at the end and was like, did I cause this on my son?
What do you say to the poor lady? You know, she's hurting, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's one of several experiences you got. That's incredible. When you mentioned the family, so you've got your patient, and then you've got their family.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's all kinds of dynamics with that. People that maybe are trying to give you advice and their own input as non-medical people and whatnot. So you get to navigate all that also.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, all the time. They think they know what's best.
Sure,
Because
sure.
that's my mom, and my mom doesn't like this, and mom doesn't do that, so we can't do this with mom.
Right. Right.
That's really not your mom anymore.
Right.
Like it reaches a point where that's her body there, but when it comes to the quality of life, that's not your mom really, right?
Sure. Now you as a PSW, that automatically means that you're not the doctor, you're not the surgeon, you're not the nurse, you're this other category of people. Do you feel like sometimes people say, well, you're the PSW, what do you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We hear, because with my job, I am the personal support worker.
Right.
I'm in the home.
Sure.
I'm with that patient for 8 hours a day, but I have a registered nurse attached to my phone through my work that directs me. So a lot of my knowledge and stuff is passed on from the registered nurse that I pass on to family. Well, they don't see that part.
Right.
They just hear, I'm saying this to them. No, you're just the PSW.
Yeah. That's got to hurt a little bit,
Oh my
right?
God.
Yeah.
Because I'm so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
But then when somebody higher level in the healthcare field comes in, like the nurse practitioner or the doctors, they say the same thing, and the family completely goes with it.
They say the exact same thing you just told them.
Yeah.
Right.
But because somebody higher up said it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, our brains go that way, I guess. We're the first to salute PSWs because of that boots on the ground thing. You guys are there, you said 8 hours a day with somebody. That is unmistakable, unrepeatable stuff that's hard to even measure, let alone, and of course we value doctors and nurses and whatnot, but we're the first to salute folks that are right there caring for people as you guys are. Well, all of your patients that have passed away up to this point, have you ever actually gone to their funeral?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was asked by one family member to go. She had a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old little girl, and I went to the visitation. I didn't plan on going to the service,
Right.
but I went to the visitation, and they said, "You're going to be here with me tomorrow, right?"
Oh, and what do you say to them?
How do you tell a 6-year-old no,
yeah.
right? So, I went to her funeral service, and I went to one other funeral service.
Right.
If I do stay with them for an extended period of time,
Right.
I try to go to a visitation just
Sure.
to give the family closure as well as myself.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of like a continuum there. Yeah, for sure. What about things like self-care? You hear people talk about PTSD and compassion fatigue. Do you ever have a sense that you need to sort of decompress?
Nature bathing.
Nature bathing.
Nature bathing.
I don't know what that is.
Walk through the trails. Explore what outdoor has to show. Just listen to the sounds that the earth offers you, right?
It's kind of like a reset.
Yeah.
You're able to reset yourself.
In behind the gun range at Erio, that's a great place to go and sit. Just let the waves take your thoughts and wash them away, bring new ones in.
Right. Some of the other ways that you care for people don't involve medicine and medical and record keeping. What other things do you do that are in that category that care for people, but they're not official medical things?
They want to go to Red Lobster to have biscuits because
Oh,
that's
nice.
what they crave. So I go to the Consistory Club in London, and I borrow the equipment needed to get them in a vehicle to take them to Red Lobster so we can
Wow.
have those biscuits. You want to go to the beach? Let's go to the beach. A lot of people think I'm dying. I'm at home to die. I'm now dying. I need to stay here. You're still alive. You're still living.
You live till
what
you
do you
die,
want to
right?
do with your life still?
Yeah.
I always ask the patients, is there anything that you want to do? Is there anything anyone you want to see? I offer, do you want to write letters to anybody to say things that you don't have the heart to say right now to them?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, I think, Michelle, you set the bar very high. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing this time, sharing your thoughts, and sharing your experience with us.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a great pleasure.